Hi team, good morning. Welcome to Quality Center session 2. So what we are going to see today is the features walkthrough. Heard that volume is a little bit low, so I will just increase the volume. Sorry, I have just noticed it. So we will go through the features where we have left. The part 2 features, I mean the features which we are going to cover today, followed by the history which we will be covering before we wrap up the session. Alright, so let's go back to Quality Center and see where we have left. Yesterday we have stopped by when we have created this requirements. Now we will create couple of more requirements so that we will have something to work upon. With one requirement it is very difficult to trace and track and do things. So what we will do, we will just create couple of more requirements. Alright, so I will just create a new requirement, say input, and yesterday as conveyed, we would be taking this ncalculators.com EMI calculator. So what I would create is that I will just create a functional requirement for inputting loan amount, interest rate and loan terms. Okay, so right click, new requirement, say input loan amount. So I will just call this as a functional specification, and product, leave that. We can just target release, we will mark it as release 1 and cycle 1. Okay, so you can just give the brief description about it, and if it's not required, just we will click on submit and it pops up one more. We will just create second one, loan term, means it how many number of years the loan is, so that it calculates the EMI for us. So and click OK, and its functional requirement, say let's say it's a review, click submit, and after that loan percentage. Okay, so again I will call it as a reviewed specification, and the target cycle is release 1 cycle 1, release 2013 cycle 1. Okay, I'll just click on close. So what we have done is that we have created the specification. See here, as discussed yesterday, whenever we see a green color unlock button, it means that we are the ones who have checked out. Unless we check in, it will not be available for the other users. So we'll just check it in, say, and I'll just select both the requirements. We have a very good option, so we can select the requirements which we want to check it in and click on check in. I'll sell as first version. All right, so click OK, close. Yes, see here, the moment we create and click on refresh, see that lock button disappear. Fine then. So now we are done with the requirements. Let's go to the next part. Okay, so before we move to the test plan where we actually write test cases, you might be wondering what these business models are or the test resources. We will just visit the business models area a little later. However, we will just now focus on test resources. Test resources, the name says it all. So we will place all our test artifacts, be it a test plan, a test case document, or even the function libraries which we write in quality quick test professional for automation testing, and also it can be a load runner scenario. We can put all our resources or test artifacts under test resources. So now comes the next question. So here also we can put all our test resources. Here also in libraries also we can put all our resources. So what is the use or what is the significance of having these two tabs? See, test resources is what we see at that point of time. Whereas libraries, it's a kind of snapshot or backup. We can create a library so that we will put all of requirements. See here, yesterday I have shown we can put all of requirements. We have very less data so that we are unable to showcase everything. However, the concept is more important. So we can select requirements, resources, components, and test. So if we select and place it in the library, at any point of time we can come back and see what has happened on, say, 1st of January 2013 or even 2nd of February 2013. So whenever we take a library baseline, we will be able to revisit the library section at that point of time. Whereas test resources will have the latest artifacts. So we will just create a new resource. All right. Let's say we will call it as a test plan document. Okay. Created, modified. It's okay. The moment we click on OK, see, most of the things works a similar way. The way in which it works is, if you see this main window, you will not see all the tabs. The moment we create it, we are able to see resource viewer, dependencies, history. Okay, now comes the resource viewer. Here, there is only one particular button, so just click on upload file. Here, for example, we will just select a document, say a test plan document. Okay, see, upload completed successfully, refresh it. So this is a test plan document. Similarly, we can upload a VBS file, which is a file associated with Quick Test Professional. Similarly, we can also upload a load runner scenario file associated with a load runner, and also we can upload test case documents. So this way we can maintain all our document set here. Whereas libraries, it is a kind of history maintenance of all the artifacts at one point of time. We can baseline the document. Okay, where we'll just write it here, libraries versus test resources. Okay, libraries is a snapshot. It's a snapshot of the test resources at one point of time. Test resources, what it contains? It contains it's a placeholder wherein we can place all our test plan, test case document, maybe in Excel if you are preparing in Excel, or you can place your VBS files or automation scripting file created using QTP or load runner scenario file or LR file, etc. Fine, great. So this is the use of test resources. So this tab is what we need to focus the most, where testers utilize this to the most possible extent. All right. So before we move to test plan, just to get a state of things, let me know if you people have got any questions so that I'll address it straight away. Nowadays, everybody is using ALM or QC old version. Well, the version that we are right now using is qualitycenter 11. HP qualitycenter 11.0. Okay. But the latest version is UFT, Unified Functional Tester 11.5. qualitycenter for, it's a unified functional testing platform, which is a new platform that HP has come up with. However, ALM, using ALM or enterprise, there are various flavors of qualitycenter. It absolutely depends upon the size of the project or size of the corporate, how they want to manage their license and what features they want. So not everyone would go for ALM and not everyone would use an old version. Old versions, already HP stopped the support of the things that they have taken over from Mercury. I will just brief all those things. during our history session where I have told the evolution. Okay, what is the difference between QC 10 and 11? It's again an offline question. There are various other features that HP has come up with. We will deal with that a little later, but things that we have discussed right now, if you have any questions, let's go ahead. Fine. So now we are done with the test resources. Business components and model, let's park it aside for the time being. Now let's visit test plan. Okay. So usually in software terms, what we know is that test plan is a document where it talks about what are all the things that we need, how we are going to strategize our test. Similarly, it's the area wherein we put all our test cases in place so that we plan it to do how we plan to actually design our test cases. We can pull the same in test lab for execution. So test plan is the area where we have to plan our test case or test suite document. All right. Now what we will do, we will create a new folder. See here, it's a very fresh project. So you can see here there is by default there is a subject folder followed by unattached folder. So what is this unattached folder? The unattached folder contains, you can see very well, self-explanatory that all tests no longer associated with the folder, unattached. So whatever you delete it will go to this folder, and admin usually cleans up the unattached folder once in a week or so. So it is for maintenance purpose. Once you delete it, it first comes to unattached. Okay. So now we have to create a new folder, say 2013. And what I will do is I'll create a new test. Okay. Say for example, first test is launch the application. Very simple test. We will start with a very simple test. Type is manual. Creation date, let's leave it empty. And description, launching the ITeLearn application. We'll click on OK. The moment we click on OK, just see towards your right hand side here. There are a lot of tabs that are generated. This is what we are going to deal in next few minutes. So design steps. So the test is what we have created with the details. You see here, with the details is what created. That has generated a lot of other tabs. So now we will visit one by one. Design steps. So in a test case, we have got a lot of steps. So we need to add steps accordingly. So let's say step 1 is step name, go to start program. So this is a very simple test we will write so that we understand the concept. All right, start IE or start and then launch IE. User should be able to launch IE successfully. Launch IE, Internet Explorer successfully. Okay, click OK, and then let's add one more step. Say go to ncalculators.com. User should be able to go to the specified website. Okay, fine. So for launching the application, it has, say, let's say it has got 2 steps. Are there any parameters involved? Say, let's say we can call a URL is a parameter here. URL, uniform resource locator. So we will tell the www.order. This is the first, and the default value is www.ncalculators.com. So the purpose of parameters is, say for example, the next scenario when we write, you will understand this parameter section a lot better. And attachments. So we don't have any attachments. Test configurations. Say you can add for the same test configuration. For example, in IE, Firefox, Chrome, so that you can add your configuration so that you execute it so many number of times, and at the end of the result it shows in which browser it has passed and which browser it has failed and so on. So the configuration of the test, okay, and requirements coverage. So we can now map this particular launching the application to one particular requirement that we have created. So for example, let's say it's an EMI calculation requirement. See here, only types of requirement coverage is available and match the current filter will be added. Click yes. Okay, see here, loan, it clearly communicated that only the child requirements is going to be added. Fine. So the linked defects, so we don't have defects, we haven't reached the defects module till now. Okay, dependencies, business model linkage, leave this part, and then history, the first time when we checked in and now it is in checked out status. The moment we check it in again, we will see the update in history. So I will just check it in. So click check in and I will say it's the first version. Click close and click on refresh. See here, first version, the second version we have checked it. So here you can see the comment that I have put in. The moment I checked in, it reflects here. Alright, so we will create one more test, new test, say how we are going to calculation of EMI. So creation date, type, that's all maintained as it is, EMI calculation. It is a very simple application, so it might sound very simple, but in real-time scenario, things are a little complex. Okay, so it has dynamically generated the tabs. You can see the details. So the design steps. Okay, now we will tell the design step. The first step is input the loan amount. User should be able to enter the loan amount. So in expected results column, we are writing the expected result. This is the description. Click on OK. We will add the next step. Input the loan percentage. And user should be able to enter the loan percentage. Click OK. Now we will add one more step. Say enter the duration of loan or loan tenure. So should be able to enter the loan duration. Okay, click OK. So now let's focus on this parameter function. See here, we input loan amount, interest rate, loan term, and you hit calculate. These things are generated dynamically. So monthly payment, total repayment, total interest cost, and then the loan schedule, like EMI payment schedule, is generated. Right? Now what we will do, we will add the parameters for our testing purposes. Say parameter name. First parameter, what we will put in as loan amount. Loan amount is the first parameter, and the order in which we have to input the values. Say I will say $10,000. All right, and new parameter. Then we will go for loan tenure. The order in which we have to input, and this is all for information to the user while execution. So let's say tenure is 4 years. Click OK, and then again click on new parameter, and let's say loan percentage, or sorry, interest percentage. Interest percentage. Say 3, and then select default value. I will tell it's 7.7%. Okay. Now you can give the description if required. You can see the columns, other columns associated with this parameter tab. So we can select everything, click OK. You will be able to see modified order also whatever we have put in. The description field we can put write the description if in case we want to convey something to the user who is executing. Alright. So in the attachment sections, test configuration again as conveyed, we can customize our configuration. Probably we can add the test configuration to suit different sets of users or different platforms. It's the configuration set, means how we are going to execute the test case. And requirements coverage, say let's say input loan amount, loan term. So I will just add both of these requirements. Linked defects, we haven't reached this part, leave this. Business model, history. So now let's check it in. So check in, first version. Okay, close, and here you are able to see the comments that we have given. Click on refresh. So is it possible to write the test cases in a similar way? Say for a simple application we are able to write like this. Okay, if it is complicated, can we write hundreds of test cases like this in a real-time scenario? Or probably few systems, complex systems, the test case ranges from few thousand test cases. It is not possible for us to write test case like this. Hence, there is a add-in which actually connects from Excel to Quality Center, and that we will see in the upcoming sessions, like how to configure, install, and upload from Excel to Quality Center. So that add-in, what it does, the Excel add-in, it just from Excel to Quality Center, it talks to Quality Center server and pushes all our test cases directly to Quality Center. So it's a here the whatever the arrow it represents, it's an plugin or an add-on which comes up along with HP installation that has to be downloaded again from HP website. All right, fine. So now test planning is done. Assume that we are done with the test cases. Okay, now comes the next part, that is test execution. Okay, now let us execute this test. Here again you can see there is an unattached folder. So what this unattached means, whatever we delete it goes to unattached folder, and usually administrators clean up this unattached folder regularly. Everyone will not have access to delete, it depends on the permissions. Alright, what I will create is that I will create a test set and right click, new test set. Now what we can call it as say cycle 1 execution, and we have the close date and open date along with the target cycle is also there. So let's leave all these to default values, click OK. Alright, now the moment you click on OK, you can see these grids or tabs: execution grid, execution flow, automation, attachments, linked defects, and history. So here you can see the button select test. It is disabled. Even if I click, I am unable to get the select tests. So when the select test option would be enabled, the moment you get into the execution grid, see the select test option is enabled. So I will redo it once again. Please check. We have just created a what is a test set name. The test set name is cycle 1. In you can see here very well, select tests is disabled. So let's get into execution grid tab. Select test is enabled. So only in the execution grid where we can actually execute our cases. So select the test. So the moment I click on select test, test plan tree opens. So here, so whatever we have done in the test plan opens here, and then you expand it. We will be able to see the test cases that we have created just now. So we have to select the tests that are required for us to execute in this particular test. We can select based on our requirements or based on that release. So we will just select both of these tests and let's say put it in the execution grid. So click close. All right. So we have just pulled in our test case. So this is the most important part. Like we have to choose, or we have the flexibility to choose the test which actually affects the current execution. All right. So once you are done, let's push this one away so that now we can see that what is there in the execution grid. In execution grid, the same thing that we have seen in the test plan. The name of the test case name and description. What is the type? See here, status is no run. All right. Now let's go to the before execution. We will see the other tabs also. Execution flow. See here, cycle 1 execution which we have created. We have got 2 tests, launch application and calculation of EMI. It is just a pictorial representation of the current test set. It is the pictorial representation of the current test set. Okay. So this particular tab is very useful when we are doing automation. When we are doing automation, QTP, it shows us the complete flow, how it is actually being one action calling the other. Everything is shown as a complete flow because HP Quality Center has a complete integration with respect to Quick Test Professional. Okay. So automation, we don't want to touch this grid because it is a manual test case. Attachments. So if in case there are any attachments, you can attach it here. Linked defects, we haven't reached that part again. So history, there is nothing to do with it. So details tab, it's all done. Click on refresh. It's now ready for execution. So now let's execute. Go to execution grid. Click on run. You can see this is a drop down. Let's say what are all the options available. Run with sprinter, run with manual runner, continue manual run. So run with sprinter. Sprinter is one other tool from HP. HP Sprinter is one other tool from HP, has been integrated with QCALM platform. All right. What that Sprinter does, it helps us to execute the manual test case, capture the system resources. It does the things outside of what it can do with respect to the manual execution. Okay. Now first let us do a manual runner, then let's go to Sprinter. Okay. Run with manual runner. Okay. I'll just minimize all these things because the moment you click on the runner looks like this. The runner looks like this. So if I'll just come back to this once again. Do you want to save the test? No. See here, you click here in the drop down, select the test, run with manual runner. You can see this is how the manual runner window looks like. When we click on begin run, you can see URL, launch URL, source test, launch application. This is the default value. Okay, so let's assume that we have tested that. Okay, we have launched the IE and we have launched ncalculators.com. Now the test is passed. So actual value, we can tell that user is able to, or we can just say test passed. Let's put it as user comments test passed, so that we understand between the status, because status also might show passed, so we should not get confused with that. And then see here, step 1, user should able to launch IE successfully. So status, let's say pass. Click on step 2, go to ncalculators.com. User should be able to go to the specified website. Click here, test, passed. So now what I will do is end of this execution. So here there are a lot of other options. Add step, you can add a step here even during this execution cycle. Execution is going on, and delete selected step, and see here pass selected, you can pass it just by clicking on it. For example, if previously it was in a status no run, you can just select the step and click here, it will pass it. That's it. So quickly you can just do pass by selecting the steps. And here you can also have got pass all option. So if you know that it has got passed, so assume that initially it was in no run. Now just click here and say pass all. So it assumes that you have executed the test and it has passed all. It's one good feature, but it has no foolproof mechanism whether you have executed or not. Just it has passed the test case. So it's similarly you can fail all the selected steps, and you can attach in case of you have any, if you got any attachments. Fine. So we will click on end run at this point of time. So end the execution. Let's go back to this execution grid and see what has happened. So launch the application. This particular test case, which has got 2 steps, has passed. Even one step fails, the status would be shown as failed. This is the next test case. We are yet to execute this. So we will execute this also right now. So run with manual runner. Okay. So we will click on begin run. Okay, interest loan amount, interest percentage is 7.7, loan amount default values. So we have put all these things in a parameter. Okay, we have put all these things in a parameter. Say, let's say for example, we will put all these things in a EMI calculator. So these values, let's say we have put in $10,000, 7%, and loan term is 4 years. We will click on calculate. This is what we have done. So let's click on OK. The step comes here, the status, assume that everything is passed. So I'll just select pass all, and I will end the manual execution. So the moment you end the manual execution, here the status is updated. So that's it for the test lab. So we have executed a couple of test cases as a sample scenario. So before we move to the next session, I will just like to take the state of things. So do you have any question? Just put it in the chat channel, please. Is it efficient to use QC with pure manual testing? Is it efficient to use Quality Center with pure manual testing? Yes, this is a test management tool. We can actually have manual test cases. Along with that, we can also integrate our test professional QTP with Quality Center for effective executions. Okay, don't assume that this is an automation tool. The very first basic session yesterday early, we have clarified that it is a application lifecycle management tool which supports mostly the quality aspects of a software development lifecycle. Do HP is supporting 9 version now in companies? They don't. So is in test lab only execution is done? Yes, in test lab execution is done. Test lab is the area where we execute our test cases. What is run test set? Good question. So run test set, the name says it all. We will be able to execute all the test cases in a particular set. See here, now I have executed one by one these 2 tests. Whereas if you have decided to execute all the test cases in a particular set, we will be able to run the complete test set associated with this cycle 1 execution. Do we take values from parameters while test cases in ALM? Can you show us how to run automation test cases in ALM? So those things we will cover in the upcoming sessions. The reason is this is a feature walkthrough on a very high level. which we will not be able to cover everything in a demo session. It's a quick walkthrough of the features so that you have a look and feel of the application. Is test cases exported from Excel or also be run test cases in same you showed us now? Is test cases exported from Excel or also be run test cases in same you showed us now? Yes. So similarly, whatever the things that we have done manually in the test plan, it is being pushed from the Excel. So rest all the process remains the same. You will come back to lab, select the tests and execute it. Just writing or bringing the test cases to quality center is done through Excel. What is the business model and components? Can you please show us the dashboard views? Yes, we are coming to that point. All right. So now we will move to the next session, defect section. Okay. The test plan is done, test cases are done. Business components, we will still park it aside at this point of time. It is not of a critical feature that we need to look on. So let's click on new defect. Okay, let's assume that there is a failed test case and you want to raise a defect. Let's say that loan EMI is not calculated correctly. Severity, let's say it's very high, and detected in version, let us say it's detected in this first cycle of this release. All right. So let's click on submit. So moment you click on submit, you can see what happened here. So the defect ID is generated. The defect ID is 1. Description is loan EMI. That's fine. Detected by the user who has actually logged in, and detected in all these things are shown in the column grids. Okay. Now, what is the state of this particular defect, right? If you just move towards your right, you can find the severity and status. By default, all the new defects are posted with the status new. By default, all the defects posted with the status as new. Now let's say a developer worked, and then say, let's say developer has worked it and then now he has fixed it. Okay, we will come back to status here, mark it as fixed. Okay, and the fixed test cases are taken. Once it is fixed, it comes back to test. So for example, it is rejected, reopen or closed. So while they are executing, while the developer is fixing the defect, they will keep it as open. Okay, once they fix it, they mark it as fixed, and then it's completely depends on the defect life cycle that we want to follow. Few companies define their own set of status wherein we can change the status accordingly. So rejected in case the defect is invalid, and closed once everything is done from dev and testing perspective. Okay, now let us say if you have the defects in Excel and if you want to push everything to quality center, again we have the plugin wherein we can push all the defects directly from Excel to quality center. As of now, let's assume that we want to create 2 more sample defects. Okay, how we can do that? So there are 2 ways. So we can again go through this new defect workflow. The things that are marked in star, red colored are the mandatory fields. Okay, whereas what I would do is right click, I'll just do a copy of this defect, right click again, paste the defect. See here, same defect now has been duplicated. Now what I will do, I'll just change this to description to something else, saying that loan percentage or loan tenure accepts alphanumeric, because loan tenure should not be accepting any alphanumeric characters. Okay, click OK, and let's also change the detected in date, so that when we generate the dashboard, we will be able to see clearly when it has been detected. And the status is still new. What we will do is, let's say So being fixed. Okay, so click on refresh. So this is nothing but a view for a user, how he want to customize it. Here we can click on select columns and customize the fields that we want to have our own view. So for example, I don't want to see this reproducible and say a couple of things like say assigned to. I don't want to see these two fields. Then click OK. Accordingly, this grid realigns with respect to what you have chosen to select. Okay, this actual fixed time, close time also, if you don't want, you can go and remove that using select columns functionality. Assume that you want to work with respect to this defects and we want to attach it to the favorites. You can add it to the favorites list, similar to what we have it in this URL, right? Like in Internet Explorer, we have the add to favorites button. Similarly, we have add to favorites in defects. So what it does, say for example, I want to see that detected by admin and the status is new. Only I want to see this particular set of filter. Okay, this is a filter, custom filter. What I will do, create, go to favorites. I will make this particular filter as a private by adding it to favorites. Add to favorites, click on private and say admin underscore new defects. Alright, I click on OK. So for example, if I reset the filter, after resetting the filter, we can just revert it using the favorites that we have created just now. See here, admin private new defect. See here, again it shows only the one which we have created with the status new. This is just for as a view for the user. Alright, this is how our defects work. We can add the attachments on write the reproducible steps. It's all little self-explanatory. Double click here and then you can add the attachments. You can see history, what has happened, who has changed the status from what to what, and then linked entities. You can link it to requirements and test cases details. So this is how the workflow with respect to test from requirements to test plan, test lab and defects. Now we have done one complete workflow. Before that, I will just give you an insight about business models. Before we move on, I'll just ask if you people have got any questions, please feel free to ping me. Does developer will get email once tester assigns defect? Very good question. During installation, if we customize that server settings, email server settings, we will be able to send the email to the testers. So that is again in the project customization. But if you want to email particular defect, you can just click here and then send to and CC and then send it to that particular developer or tester. So he will receive that email. So what are the other questions? Is in this case nobody can see this defect, only user. Yeah. So if it is a if it is a private, what do you mean by private? This is nothing but how the Internet Explorer favorites work. Private means this particular favorites is for this particular user, not the defect. Defect is for everyone. Defect is for whatever you raise it here. It is shown for everyone, whereas this favorites is only for your view, how you want to view your own defects. You can keep it as a private, or even if you keep it as a public, it is available for all the users of this project. If you keep it private, it's only for that particular user. What is the difference between open and reopen defects? So the first time you open it with the status new, when developers are working on it, the very first time they will mark it as open and they fix it. Next time it comes back to tester, it's nothing but the defect workflow, like comes back to testers and we test it. Again we find a problem, we reopen the defect. Alright. Fine. How many test cases we have to write in a project? It's depends on the complexity of the requirements. And what is use of flags? Flags similar to what we have it in Outlook or what is this? Any other tool. Flag. It's a notification flag. If you are a user and if you want to know a specific defect that you want to come back and revisit at a later stage, and you don't know the IDs, you have got hundreds of defects, you can just flag it, come back and revisit those particular flags. Okay. Excel add-in please. So those things can be dealt in upcoming sessions. We have very short time. We will not be able to cover those things. Though there are just 5 tabs, there are a lot of functionalities we are going to cover in the upcoming sessions, right from the installation to the advanced concept. These 2 demo sessions will just give you an insight about the product and features. All right. So now let's go back to business models, the session. So business models, okay. So just an overview on business models. So for example, you are a tester and you don't know the domain. We all know how to test a product, whereas we don't know the business logic. All right. We don't know the business logic. So now who will facilitate us in testing those kind of applications? Say for example, you are associated with the finance industry and we don't know anything about equities or a loan or how it works actually. So what we do, there is a business analyst who facilitates these testers and developers, who actually bridges the gap between testers and developers. All right. All right. So now, if we don't know the domain, business analyst will give the business cases. Okay. And with use of the business cases, we will be able to prepare either automation or manual. It's the way in which the business is expected or the application is expected to work. For example, very complex applications in communications sector. Say how a telecommunication line works. So for that, if we are developing a project or a product, so it is very difficult for us to understand how these protocols work. So business analysts always act as an intermediary between developers and testers. So the way in which they implement this business process testing is little complex. However, in most of the organizations, the business models, they create the business models. Business analysts develop the business models, how it is expected to work. Based on that, testers write their test cases, be it automation or manual, and then the business analysts act as a bridge, or they fix the gap between a tester and developer. So this is for more complex applications. So we just need not worry about business models at this point of time. So, but just an overview like how it is going to work. Okay. Now let's go back to analysis view. Yesterday we have seen clearly that everything was empty. We have created everything today. So now we will go and select a graph. Okay. Summary graph. Next. Use the current project. Next. Do not use the filter. Next. Group by. Finish. Okay. See here, assigned to number of defects. So we have just raised 2 defects. So that is the reason why we are seeing public view same. Okay. So this is the analysis. So how many number of test cases or the defects that are there in new status, or the defects in an open or fixed. It's an analysis in which the number of defects to the assigned to. So we will just get into analysis views. We will see in the morning like how many test cases are assigned to me, and then you click on it. It directly takes us to the grid or drill down results. Let's close this at this point of time, but it just gives us an overview about how many defects are there against my name. There are various type of charts and graphs, and using various filters we can generate it. absolutely it has got infinite combinations. If you want to generate the graphs based on various other scenarios, you can do that. Whereas click on dashboard view, say it's a private new page, say a dashboard page, say dashboard page name is, let's say dashboard page 1. Okay, click OK. Modified configuration, let's say private, the one which we have created, defect, and then let's say we want to view it. Okay, in the dashboard page there are a lot of analysis, whatever we have created, the pictorial representation of that we can see in the dashboard view. Okay, in dashboard view we can create any number of the graphs. Say let's say one more graph, new graph, let's say age graph. Okay, or let's say a progress graph. Say I will call it as progress graph. Click OK. So it says what kind of axis you want to select. You can set the filter criteria, go to view, you will be able to see how the progress we have made, how many number of defects. Here it's 0, here it is 1, upper limit. So we have just raised one defect. That's the reason why we are able to see only this particular graph in this manner. Alright. So if you go to dashboard view, we can select the details in the configuration tab. You just click on refresh, we will be able to see this progress graph also. So click and push this to the configuration and go and see view. See here. So it's a quick dashboard, in the sense it gives you an insight about what exactly happened on the areas where we have actually raised the defects and its progress, how many has been allocated to a particular individual, and it gives a very good insight for quality managers to decide how we are progressing. So that's it about dashboard view. Okay, I think we are approaching towards the end of the session. So this is just an overview of the features. Apart from that, we also have client-side administration for this quality center project or quality center tool as such. We have got two types of administrations possible. One is client-side administration and the server-side administration. So these topics we will deal in detail in the upcoming sessions, and server-side administration. So we should exactly know what we can do in client side and what we cannot do in server side. Server side, the parameters of the server we will be able to configure on a project level, on a domain level, whatever we have seen yesterday. Each domain has got different set of projects. On a domain level and project level, we will be able to make configurations, whereas client side is restricted to that particular project. Client side is restricted to that particular project which you have got access to. Okay, all right. So we will just take up questions. We will open up the forum for questions, and then we will come back to this session in case time permits. Do a tester has to work on dashboard and analysis view in the projects? Not required. Testers, it is a view for a manager control, but you can also create your own dashboard. You can feel free to open analysis view and then you can just add it. If you have got access to, you can generate the graphs and see where you stand. Moment you log into quality center, go to analysis view and say defect summary graph by assign to. So this gives me a idea of what I need to work for the day. That's it. So do testers have access rights to all the tabs in QC real time? It depends on the customization again. So all the people will not have tabs, all the access to all the tabs. It depends on the project customization and the user level of access. Okay. All these things we will deal after installation, how to configure, how to create user, what level of access we need to give. Everything will be dealt in detail. Is it possible to import test cases from Excel? Yes, using the add-ons that we have discussed. So it's not possible to write all 1000 test cases manually in Quality Center. So we write in Excel and push all in one shot. HP Center is commonly used with HP test tools such as QTP and manual testing, or there any other tools outside HP tools can be used with HP Center. Yes, integration is possible. So it's not that it's HP application lifecycle management and HP QTP is what you need to use. We can use the defects if your project is in any other application lifecycle management tool that I have discussed yesterday. For example, TFS from Microsoft or Rational Team Concert from IBM, we still can have the integration. Okay, could you please provide the steps to install QC to my mail? Yes, it is all applicable for premium members. So please do join the session. We have a complete write-up documentation. Along with it, we will do a video walkthrough of how to do the installation and customization. QC is helpful for more a tester or a manager. It is for both. So tester does the testing aspect of it, whereas a manager does the project planning, tracking, and how actually we are progressing. Okay, it's a tool for both, not just for manager, not just for developers, or not just for testers or BAs. Okay, so do we have any other questions? Who is responsible of dashboard and management in real-time scenario, tester or developer? Dashboard is just a view, my dear friends. Please understand, dashboard is just a view. You can create your own views, public or private. The moment we mark it as public, it is visible for everyone. Here, what you can see is that I have created 2 private analysis view, which is just for myself. I can create any number of views, analysis views, and also dashboard views. Okay, in dashboard views also there is public and private. The moment we mark it as public, it is for everyone in the particular project. It's public. Private is restricted to your user profile. QC 11 and ALM 11, what is the difference? So there are various flavors of this ALM that HP has released. One is ALM and Quality Center for Enterprise, and Quality Center Starting Edition, and Performance Center Edition. So ALM is the what is it? All these other 3 is a subset of ALM. ALM is the super what is it? It's on a high level. It's a master tool, we can call it as, which has got all the features supported in this particular tool. Whereas Enterprise and Starter Edition, based on the license agreement, they are the access to each one of these features varies. So can we run Selenium script from QC? No, we can drive QTP scripts from QC. Okay, HP has very good integration to HP products like QTP and roadrunner. Fine. So before we wrap up, just a quick, we'll come back and come back to the agenda. So we have just done the walkthrough, the evaluation part. I'll just do a touch base of this part. So it was actually a test director. Quality Center was a test director. Test director was a product of Mercury Interactive. It all started as a desktop based application, and backend being MS Access. Slowly they moved from test director to Quality Center, and Quality Center, they have come up with various versions, and 9.0 was the last version from Mercury. The moment they launched Quality Center, it works on a browser with database being Oracle or Microsoft MS SQL Server. Okay, and HP has taken over Quality Center in 2006 end, December 2006 to be precise, and then they have released the first version as 9.2. Now the current version is 11.5. So now HP has stopped the support of all the versions before HP has taken over. All 9 Quality Center 9 and before, all those versions has been stopped. HP has stopped its support. So now the version that they support is from 9.2 to 11.5. Can I have access to all the videos on QC if I join the course? Yes, you will have both live session and also the video access. How many versions are released in QC? How many versions are released in QC? So 9.2, then followed by 10, and then 11. Okay, 11 and 11.5. So we have got 4 versions from HP. Fine then. So this is all what we have. So before we wrap up, I'll just would like to again convey the message that because of overwhelming response we have got, and we have got very limited seats for the paid session, and the next session we will communicate the timelines. The next session starts probably next week, and the exact timelines we will just, and also the registration URLs we will send it to your email ID. Please do register. We have got very limited seats. And what else? So just go to ITeLearn.com/qualitycenter-training. You can see the course contents, and along with that you can see here just click here live webinar, the new free live webinar link, which takes you to Quality Center link. See here, yesterday's session is already being uploaded, and the start dates and end dates, and also the payment registration URL is available here. If you have got any other questions with respect to registration, please feel free to put in your questions and it will be taken here. You can scroll down to see all your questions and answers. Okay. So any other questions from any one of you? Will you teach how to use SQL in QC? A good question. So for understanding database, we have a separate course, database testing. Please feel free to walk through that particular course. So we have got a list of courses for testers. Please go and browse. There are QTP, Selenium, Jira, Bugzilla, HTML, and whatnot. It's a one-stop shop for all testing purposes. Please go and visit the website. You can take a course, for example, SQL. Yes, you can. It's in depth. We have dealt database testing. Please go and make use of those free videos and then register and participate. How we may generate the execution reports in QC. So we will deal all the questions in the live sessions coming forward. So I think it is good to close the session in considering the time that we have already hit 11 p.m. IST or 10:30 PDT. All right, friends, let's call it a day. So please feel free to email. Go to ITeLearn.com and sales. You can just approach the sales email ID, or you can go to this HP Quality Center link and just put in your questions and see the. You have also got the registration URL and then course contents. So that is all I have from Quality Center demo perspective. Thanks a lot for joining. It was a very fantastic session, and I hope you are excited to join the upcoming sessions. So see you all soon and have a great day ahead. Thank you.